is he a kind of person that don't like can have sex once in a month? And I'm a kind of girl that always wants sex every day.
Lavarita Talk Show. Lavarita Talk Show. Lavarita Talk Show.
Hi everyone, welcome to Lavarita Talk Show. I am Abike Aditola.
And I am Rebecca Amos. Please, can you introduce yourself, starting from you on black?
My name is Kate Mohammed.
And I'm Additional Bukola.
You're both welcome.
Thank you very much.
Today on Lavarita Talk Show, we'll be talking about sex before marriage. Wow. So, Miss Bukola, what do you think of sex before marriage? Are you for or against sex before marriage?
Well, I'm for. I will encourage the youth or intending couples to have sex before marriage. Very, very important. Because in our world today, we have seen different instances where you get married to your spouse and you find out a lot of things about him. Maybe he can't perform, maybe he's having a low sperm count, or he's having some health challenges. But if you are privileged to have sex before marriage, during your courtship, you'll be able to know, well, can it satisfy my urge? We all know that sex is a intimacy, is how to do about feelings. Can it satisfy my urge? Am I a kind of girl that have a high libido? Or is it a kind of person that don't like can have sex once in a month? And I'm a kind of girl that always wants sex every day. So it's very, very important. Sex before marriage is very, very important.
All right, Miss Kate. Are you for or against sex before marriage?
Thank you. I'm against sex before marriage. Firstly, I'll center my argument on three basic factors, which is the medical aspect, and the biblical aspect, and the moral aspect. So, if I'm to talk about the medical aspect, we have a lot of sexually transmitted disease in our days today. A lot of youths have gone down the drain due to sexually transmitted diseases. Example, we have the HIV and we have the chronic infections. And if you check the statistic for those living with HIV in Nigeria, it's on the high range. Before it wasn't like this, but now the youth tend to see sex before marriage as a normal thing. If only we know HIV, for example, can be transmitted through other means, but the main aspect of it is through sex. And when we talk about the biblical aspects, sorry to dive, but the Bible talked about our body being the temple of God. So if your body is being the temple of God, are we actually following the biblical aspect? No or yes? I don't know. That question needs to be answered by you.
Oh, yes.
So, and most of the times when you check the marriage counseling classes, people go for marriage counseling classes and the pastor asks or the priest asks, okay, have you had sex before? They'll say no. So if you know it was actually wrong to have sex before marriage, why would you say no? Why not just say yes and be straightforward? Maybe they'll join you. But since you know it was a wrong thing to do, you said no, you've not had sex. And the last factor, which is the moral aspect. When you check in our world today, especially among youth, they've seen the word sex as a normal thing. I think then before people get they feel this awkward thing to talk about sex. But now you see it's guys, ladies, they talk about sex without even having any iota of shame in them. So I think sex before marriage is a sin and I'm against it. Thank you.
All right, Miss Kate. You said you're against sex before marriage. Are you trying to tell me that in a case whereby you got married to someone, to a man, without knowing his sexual capabilities, you adhere to it and you cope with his less sexual ability?
Okay. One thing we need to understand that if you're actually getting married to a person, you have to overlook their flaws, their mistakes, and everything. If people get married basically because of sex, then I think we'll be having issues. We are getting married, okay. whatever may be wrong, because we have people who get married to single mothers, those with HIV, and you see the first partner negative and the other positive. You understand? So one thing is we can overlook, and there are some situations that can be treated medically.
Yeah.
And most of these partners, all they need is encouragement. And when we talk about the issue of low sperm counts and the rest, we have you can go for surrogacy, IVF, and you can also go for alternatives like the adoption.
All right. You talked about sexually transmitted diseases. Now, there are actually ways you could avoid that, right? Which is why most couples, or should I say, most partners do go for general tests before going into stuffs like that. And I believe maybe they do that because they want to be sure of what they are going into. In your own case, you feel okay, you could actually bear it when your partner isn't that active sexually. But do you know that there are other people out there that can't bear it? So what do you think about that? You feel maybe they are wrong, or you feel it's also normal, or it's nothing, but or you be like it's their opinion and it's their choice? What will you say about that?
Okay, like I said earlier, I said all we need to do is encourage our partners.
Okay.
And the fact that someone ventured into sex before marriage
Yeah.
doesn't make that person a sin, because we're all sin differently. But the thing we need in our days today is educate the youth. Because if we tend to keep promoting sex before marriage because we'll be able to know this and know that, and then the world will become something else. And people will see sex, even having sex on the streets, anywhere, in front of the parents and the rest. So I still stand on my ground. Sex before marriage is a sin.
Okay, sorry. Can I come in?
Sure. You can.
You mentioned something concerning moral and okay, let me hit on the point called moral. Do you think having sex before marriage means you don't have moral?
um to me, I feel the moral aspect of sex has been dealt with, because if we tend to go by, okay, because most of us, I think there is no parent that will have a child and tell the child, okay, and from the young age you can start having sex, you can start sleeping around. No child. So that's where the moral aspect falls. The thing is, peer pressure tends to change everything.
Let's forget about age or a child. At least once you are up to 18, I believe you're an adult.
Yes.
And in our world today, as an 18 years old lady, in some part of the world, you are free to get married, isn't it? So that means you are not a child. And if we go to our schools these days, our educational background or the syllabus, we'll notice that they teach about sex. Today we have what we call sex education.
Yes.
So sex before marriage, it's not a big deal for me. I don't know about any other person's else. And you mentioned something called IVF or surrogacy. Okay, now what today? We have a lot of couples facing infertility.
Yeah.
And I can beat my chest that 90% of them is from the men. Research abroad. So you encouraging IVF while the man is having the issue. Do you think it's easy? Let's say a average family that don't have money. Do you know how much is IVF? To adopt legally, do you know the stress? Finding out that okay, your partner, I know it can be treated. Some low sperm count can be treated, but not all. When you're having zero sperm donor, it's not treatable. Just take the grace of God. So when you okay, I've seen a situation whereby this lady and this guy that have been dating, she never took in for once. But she was like, maybe God is at my side and the rest, blah blah blah. After they got married, the guy is having no sperm count. And we know in our world today, once you are married to your spouse and you can produce, or you are not bringing, they are not seeing pregnancy or children, the next thing is they'll tag it to the women. Nobody will even mention the husband. Okay, in a situation whereby the husband is having issue, and you as the wife from an average family, how do you intend to deal about it? Will you stay or you leave the marriage? That is my number one question. We're talking about the high rate of sexual transmitted disease. Do you know that the rate of HIV now is within the married people caused by the husband? Whereby you go out, your wife, she's not good, and the rest, because we want to keep herself holy before marriage. She's having a low libido, and the guy is having a high libido. You come, okay, after the first round, let's go for the second round. No, definitely the man will go out to go and look for a lady, and maybe the lady, the so-called lady, is having a disease. The man contacted it, and the next thing is moved to the wife. So for me, sex before marriage is not a big deal. If the understanding is there, fine, let's have sex. It's okay, and you're in love with him. You can't be in a closed room door with a guy, and we're gisting, we're lover, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and you're expecting miracle to happen. Just both of you. It's not possible. So definitely, sex before marriage is a normal thing. Let's forget the aspect of sin or anything. Let's look at the technology as the world is going to it. It's a normal thing. If sex can happen before marriage, a lot of infertility, HIV or disease, it will be reduced because the married men won't go out. Even the married women, we have some that still go out because maybe she's having the husband, I'm tired, I'm tired, blah blah, like can't meet up to a standard and the rest. And maybe, okay, let me ask you a question. Sex before marriage. My question is going directly to Kate. As a couple or as a married woman, you got married to your husband and you later find out that he's an impotent or you don't have a, how do you go about it? And you have been married, you have been joined in the altar.
Okay. That's why I talked about the aspect of this marriage counseling. During the marriage counseling, when they asked the intending couples, have you had sex before?
Yes,
They
we're
said
fit,
no.
we don't have sex. We have
They
not
said
had
no.
sex. Yes.
Good. So one thing again is sorry, ask your question
The
again.
question I asked, we abstain from sex right from courtship. I've never visited the guy, maybe we only see in the church, on the road,
Okay.
only hug and the rest.
Mm.
Then after we have been joined together in the altar and we went back home, wedding night, I tried to touch you. Oh no,
It
just
turns
hold
to
on, I'm
story.
tired. No, I'm tired. Okay, 1 week, here's the wedding stress. Then the second week, okay, how far? Let's say we're still shy of ourselves.
I'm fasting.
Thank you very much. We want to give God the glory for a successful wedding. And you later find out that he's an impotent. All his is very small. How will I go about it as a married woman?
That
Oh
is
my
a serious
god.
one.
Oh my god.
Okay,
is serious.
this is where the for better for worst comes in. Because
Wow.
if you actually go to the altar and the priest or the pastor reads for better for worse, then at that instance tell them no, it's not for better for worst. When things get worse, I move out. When you get married to someone, though there's a book that said I've once read, love is never enough.
Definitely.
Yes, love is never enough to sustain a marriage. But do you know most times patience does? If you should get married to someone with a low sperm count, a small, you can actually look for solutions for that person. Okay, we know maybe it did might be small. Yeah, sorry to use the word. It might be small, but at least maybe it's able to produce sperm to birth children. That is actually okay. And for the low sperm count, you can actually visit the hospital. I think the doctor is in a better position to provide a solution for you.
Okay, have you
Because
watched
and
this?
sorry please,
Okay.
and you know most of the times when you stand for sex before marriage, this is what brings about early pregnancy among teenagers. Do you know before we said pregnancy only comes from the youth, blah blah blah. But now it doesn't. You see a child of 13, 14, 15 carry pregnancy about. If only these children from the early stage of life they've been educated, okay, sex before marriage is a sin. It has a lot of disadvantages than advantages. If we keep encouraging people to have sex before marriage, then we'll have a lot of early and unwanted pregnancies to deal with. You find on the street, you see a girl, "Oh, okay, he got me pregnant and he ran away." Even if she was wise enough to know sex, this thing sex, if he doesn't put a ring on this finger, there is nothing like sex.
So, Miss Bukola, you said you are for sex before marriage.
Yeah.
And also from your saying, you mentioned something of low sperm count. Don't you think this sex before marriage is the reason why most men out there are having low sperm count? And also, in the case of infertility for the women aspect, don't you think sex before marriage, when someone had sex before marriage and you're not ready for pregnancy or to even foster a child, most of them go for taking contraceptive and pills. Some go for abortion, even in hospital that has no, they are not even the hospital that don't have experience about how to do the abortion of the thing. So at the end of the day, they end up losing their womb or having some complication. Don't you think if they avoid that sex before marriage, or they won't be having this issue of low sperm count and infertility?
All right. Thank you very much for your
welcome.
question. Let me answer the second question before I go to the low sperm count.
Okay.
This is where I said in our school today they teach about sex education. This is where it has to come you knowing your fertile period. This has to come when knowing your ovulation period, when you are safe and when you are not safe. Sex, you having sex, I decided that sex is an intimacy. It has to do with feelings. I'm not, as not a married couple or a single lady, I'm not having sex for me to take in. No. I just want to satisfy my sexual urge. Fine. And I want to know if it's good enough. That is one. Also, concerning the low sperm count, you having, as a guy, having a lot of sex does not result to you having low sperm count. No.
Okay.
This has to do with an hormonal disorder. You having low sperm count, it has to do with hormonal disorder for the guy,
Okay.
not for you, for the lady.
Yes.
So, as a guy, you having sex. That's why you see in a situation where you will see a man of 60 years, is it he can pregnant a lady. Does that mean he has not been having sex all this year? No. But a man having a low sperm count is a medical disorder for him. It's not as a result of you having sex. No. So too much of sex cannot even result to low sperm count. No. Because we have food you can eat. We have fruits you can take as a man that will definitely help you to boost your sperm. So having a low sperm count is not because of too much of sex. No, that is a no. That is a no-go area. And as a man, you can't even know if you have a low sperm count except you go for a medical checkup, or you can't impress. Maybe you have dated like 3 girls and you have been meeting, and none of them is pregnant. I think you should check yourself. It's not a result of having too much intimacy. No.
I thought you said we are not having the sex is not for pregnancy, it's for
Yes,
fun.
I'm citing example.
Okay.
As a low sperm count, it's not like having too much of sex that is causing it. No. No. And if you are feeding well, forget it.
Okay, Miss Kate, you said something about childbirth. Okay, so are you trying to tell me that marriage is just about childbirth? You said you could actually manage or hold on to the fact that your spouse is having a small private. You said you could actually bear that. So you trying to tell me that there isn't other fun in marriage aside the childbearing and stuffs like that?
Okay, thank you. And to answer your question, um, there are other things that make up, or more like the foundation of marriage. Sex isn't the main priority of marriage. We have things like companion, Why do we have couples who are 50, 60 without child? You only see without a child. You only see maybe their brother's children or their sister's children staying with them, and you will be so surprised when you get to find out that those kids aren't theirs. So the major thing about marriage is companion, not childbirth. Because I've seen a couple that I think they got married for almost 7 years now, and they said they didn't get married to have children, and medically they are okay.
Wow.
So the this thing, I think the major factor of marriage or the main priority of marriage is companionship.
All right, Miss Bukola, I have a question for you. You stand for sex before marriage, right?
Yeah.
All right, you said something about having a high libido as a woman. Are you trying to tell me that if you have a high libido and it's quite unfortunate that your spouse can't give you what you want, you can't like try to express yourself and see, give him a chance to improve a little?
This is where the rooms of endurance come in. For instance, maybe I can have sex, I can go for 3 rounds, and him just 1 round is okay.
Yes.
I think for him to perform, I'll be the one to do the remaining 2 rounds. And if, let me be fair, maybe we'll just go for 2 rounds, then I'll be the one to go for the second round. Gradually, we'll definitely adapt. Definitely, it will adapt to have it, to meet up my target or to meet up my sexual need. So there's room for improvement. Not because it can't beat or meet up to my sex urge and I'll leave him. No, there's room for improvement. If you are the person that can have only 1 round and I can go for 3 rounds, we start gradually from 1, you go to 2. So that is where room for improvement
And
comes
what
in.
if his health can't carry it?
Then it's a no. Everybody go your separate ways. Because I would not want to know when I get married.
So the space of
And-
endurance.
Yes,
Remove
I don't want
the
to get
tap tap.
married and the next thing I'll be looking outside or be thinking of one of my ex to go and meet. No, 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 no. So it's better we avoid it before the marriage,
Oh
so
my
that we
God.
can be sent like the way Miss
No,
Kate is
this
talking
is
about.
really deep. And we can't continue.
Honestly.
It's very, very deep.
So, viewers,
God.
our topic is still sex before marriage. Are you for or against?
Yeah.
The topic is very, very deep, and we can't finish it
No,
today.
no, no,
We have
no.
to continue on the comment section. So, come to the comment section. Let's know your view. Are you for sex before marriage or against sex before marriage?
It was really nice having you here, Miss Kate. Thank you so much for coming. And Miss Kola, thank you so much. I really enjoyed everything here.
Thank you very
And
much
we're
for
looking
hosting
forward to
us.
seeing you more often.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much.
Okay, our social media handles still remain on our TV on Facebook, Adekunle Komolafe Foundation TV. On our TikTok, we have MOFW Dating, and on YouTube, Lavarita TV Limited. On Lavarita Talk Show, bye bye.
Lavarita TV is a special TV. Lavarita TV is the best of all. Educating you, entertaining you, presenting to you reality shows, accurate news. We speak the truth always. We speak the truth. Lavarita TV is a special TV. Lavarita TV is the best of all.